devastating flash flood triggered by an avalanche on the Lhende tributary has left at least 270 people dead and scores missing in Nepal. The disaster struck near the Nepal-China border at Rasuwagadhi, sweeping through Timure bazaar and unleashing a massive surge into the Bhote Koshi River. The scale of the tragedy is growing, with hundreds of travelers still unaccounted for. The disaster unfolded in the middle of Wednesday morning. An avalanche on the Lhende tributary sent a sudden wall of water downstream, devastating communities across 3 different districts. At least 270 people have been reported dead, while rescue agencies continue the search for those still missing. Among the missing are hundreds of travelers, tourists. The number of people reported missing has risen to beyond 800, including residents, security personnel and foreign and domestic tourists. According to the latest report from the National Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Authority, 44 Nepali Army personnel, 28 Nepal police personnel and 13 armed police force personnel are among those reported missing. A total of 162 people have been reported missing from Rasuwa and Nuwakot districts. The number of tourists reported out of contact has also risen sharply. The Nepal Tourism Board said about 590 tourists, including 476 foreigners and 114 Nepalis, have been reported out of contact. Among the foreign tourists, 177 are Indian nationals, followed by 63 Americans, 53 Ukrainians, 34 Australians and 33 British nationals, according to the same board. The number of missing also includes 25 Canadians, 8 Germans, 6 each from Singapore and South Africa. And officials caution that these numbers could rise as well as travel companies and local authorities continue cross-checking records. Families across Nepal and India are now anxiously waiting for information about their loved ones. The disaster struck close to the Nepal-China border at Rasuwagadhi. Timure bazaar was swept away as the floodwater surged through the area, leaving a trail of destruction. Security officials and disaster experts say the impact may have been worsened by the absence of timely early warning information from across the border. That has raised fresh questions about disaster preparedness and coordination between Nepal and China. A memorandum of understanding on disaster risk reduction was signed by the 2 countries in 2019, but Wednesday's disaster has exposed serious gaps between that agreement and what happens on the ground when a sudden catastrophe strikes. Rescue operations began immediately. Teams from the Nepal Army, Nepal Police and armed police force were mobilized, rushed to deployment, with military and private helicopters also supporting the operation. Army personnel continued ground rescue efforts through the night, working in extremely difficult conditions. The search is continuing as authorities try to establish the full scale of the devastation. Amid the crisis, India has stepped forward with humanitarian assistance. Indian ambassador to Nepal, Naveen Srivastav, handed over 10 tons of humanitarian aid, the materials, to Nepal's Minister for Culture, Tourism and Civil Aviation, Khadkaraj Paudel. Prime Minister Narendra Modi also spoke with Nepal's Prime Minister Balen Shah, conveying condolences over the loss of lives. Prime Minister Modi said India was ready to provide all and every possible humanitarian assistance and expressed solidarity with the people of Nepal. India's External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar, already continuing with the meetings and the Indian missions in Beijing and Kathmandu, said India's humanitarian assistance and disaster relief teams, along with medical support, has already reached Kathmandu, and more assistance is being mobilized, is already on the way as rescue and relief operations continue. But for Nepal, the immediate priority is the search for survivors and the missing. The disaster is also raising difficult questions about early warning systems, about cross-border coordination, and whether existing disaster risk agreements are being effectively implemented. For hundreds of families, the priority is even more immediate: finding their loved ones. The rescue operations continue.